Welcome to Inspiration Inc., a brand new series featuring luminaries from India who've inspired generations with their achievements and aura. We bring you beyond the boardroom conversations and witness the other side of these legends. This week on Inspiration Inc., we feature Kishore Biyani, the founder and CEO of Future Group.
Sir, thank you so much for joining us. And as the name suggests, this is about inspiration. So we are taking conversation beyond boardroom. But before we start that, I have a very basic question for you. You come from a family where business is in your DNA, but you decided to chart your own course. You moved away from family business. So what triggered that thought? What triggered that inspiration?
I think I was kind of a rebel at that time.
You still are?
I never got what I wanted. Maybe I had different thoughts. Family was very conservative, very purist, very orthodox and very religious, pious, I would say. And I was absolutely the opposite of that. So I think as a rebel, I must have thought I need to do something beyond the family business. We were a small trader of clothing, and I couldn't understand there were too many people in the family in the business. Big joint family, small business. So, and I had maybe some different ambition at that point of time to do something much bigger.
But when you say you didn't get what you wanted, can you specify what was that? So in terms of the scale,
I think I was fond of music, I was fond of sports, I was fond of being out, I was fond of all new things at that point of time. And probably the family didn't understand that concept. And so in that sense, I was a rebel because family was very traditional, very different.
I was in fact reading your profile, and one of the most interesting things that I came across was you have mentioned that most of your learning actually happened outside college. Why you say that?
I think it's all about observation. Observation is the biggest teacher. So when you observe people, you come to know from their dressing, from their eating, from their styling of their hair, from the shoes what they wear. You can know so much about the personality of the person. So I think standing outside the college was the first step. In retail today also we do that. We are near the cash counter observing what people are buying and correlating with the kind of dress they are wearing, the brands they are preferring. So I think it's a part of observation skills one needs to develop. So that observation skills probably outside the college. I don't remember I attended any class except for one class in 4 years, but I never failed.
One class in 4 years?
One class probably, that's the only thing I can remember. And but observation was every day.
So were you a regular name on the blacklist that we used to have?
There was nothing such as a blacklist then.
Okay.
So I think till the time you are getting good marks, it was okay. And I think studying relatively was much easier because for every question there are very few options to answer. And once you are observant, I think from reading newspapers, from reading magazines, from meeting people, for observing, I think you know the answers to a great extent.
So when you decided to start your own business or basically do something different than what your family was doing and not do the traditional trading business, what was the thought behind that? Were you scared? Were you ambitious? Or you just wanted to, since you were young, you just wanted to be different and do something different?
I think we didn't have so much of knowledge then to make a business plan, get funding. So whatever we could think of that time to do whatever one felt like, we did. So there was no major thought behind what we were doing, but definitely there was no space for me in the family business.
So how did your father react?
My father thought I can make challans and I can type. I learned typewriting, so he thought I can write letters, and I was good at letter writing. So I think that for the job for me from the family side was to write letters, and I thought I can do better than writing letters. Although I wrote my first letter and I got some money out of it.
So you got money out of it? How?
Yeah, because letter writing is also an art. We had that time there was a Fiat car, out of which we had booked a chassis. The chassis was also very valuable. So it was a kind of a lottery, and the company was not delivering us that chassis, and there was a premium on that chassis of I think 50,000-60,000. I don't remember exactly. So I had to complain to the consumer society, guidance society or something at that time. and now I got that chassis, so I earned some money out of that letter writing.
Oh, that's interesting. So then you entered the textile business and you started manufacturing.
I started building up a parallel textile business supplying to the garment industry.
So what was the next step? Then you launched your own brand?
So meeting the garment industry, meeting them, so I thought I can probably make garments. When you start making garments, you have to sell it to the store. When you sell it to the store, you realize you can be a better retailer. And when you made your store, we thought if you make the store larger, there will be more people who will come in. When you make the store larger, we did sales, and that time there were queues. So we said, why can't we have permanent stores which has permanent discounts? That's how people are coming. I think life is a journey. At every step you take, you start seeing things differently and you change. So I think that's been the journey of Future Group till now.
You know, just to draw a parallel to the way Indian economy moved or the way Indian consumer has evolved and the way you and your business evolved, can we draw a parallel between that? Because Indian consumer has changed.
Sometimes you come in at the right time. So 92, the liberalization came about. Entrepreneurship was kind of getting recognized. We used to hear stories about Dhirubhai Ambani, and there were a lot of inspirational stories about entrepreneurs at that point of time. And that got us thinking. I think India was changing at that time significantly. A lot of new things were coming about, shortages were getting over, and free economy was kind of coming in.
So did you ever consult your father or any family member when you started moving at a much faster pace than what your family was moving at? What was his reaction when you started moving at a much faster pace?
I think everybody has been very skeptical about what I was doing. Rather, I never understood, so I didn't expect them to understand. But I think sometimes when ignorance is there with you, it allows you to do so many things. Once you are smarter, you won't be able to do things. Probably ignorance was a virtue. I absolutely believe that ignorance is the biggest thing which plays a great role in entrepreneurship, because you can develop courage if you are ignorant.
You have always been very instinctive in your businesses. Are you still like that?
No. I think things have changed a lot. I discovered a word that there has to be a space between stimulus and response. And that space is where you process all the information. So I take a lot of time, but I still take a decision much faster than anybody. Earlier it was a decision which was taken and there was no space between stimulus and response. So maybe I'll take 10 minutes now, I won't be instinctive. So I think that has changed, but still it's that very hour.
So 10 minutes is still, for you it is long.
But you can process a lot.
So now tell us about Pantaloon, when you ventured into that vertical. And that time this whole business was very fragmented in India. There was no, obviously a couple of brands were there, but still the retail side of it was not very structured. So what made you think that probably you should try this?
We had done some Pantaloon shops, and that was only menswear store. And when we thought, when a man he got married, then he gets into a family, whether it is a wife and then maybe a children after some time. And we thought our customers were getting married and probably will have children. So it was time to open a family store and a little larger store. That's how the idea all came about. And so we opened the Pantaloons, the family store, the Pantaloons. And that changed our perspective about business, and we moved into larger stores.
But then I think at one point you had more than 20 verticals across different categories.
I think we became very ambitious and we thought we should capture customer basket, the entire ecosystem we created with an NBFC, with an investment arm, with a gym business, salon business, restaurant business. I think people are doing that now in the new avatars of ecosystems of the world, whether it's Tencent, Alibaba, Amazon. But we attempted it then without much knowledge and without a technology at play.
There are two ways of looking at it. One is, we can call it premature. The other is maybe ahead of its time. How would you define?
I always call it a Silsila movie.
Okay, how is that?
So Silsila is all about a subject which was little ahead of time. So sometimes some things happen ahead of time, sometimes some things happen very late. You never get the exact timing. So exact timing is something every entrepreneur misses. Sometimes it's early or sometimes it's late. Or sometimes it's just there. So I think now that processing time gives us the time to get in exactly at the time which is required.
Right. So do you think that has helped slowing down a bit?
I don't think so. It's slowed down. We are growing much more than we ever grew in that sense.
No, I'm talking about the processing time, individually for you.
It's still the fastest. I would say. Since morning I would have taken, I know in the till morning to evening I have to take 10, 12 good decisions, and that decision get taken.
So I want to talk about these, more than 20 categories where you ventured, and like you mentioned, some of them were ahead of its time. Some of them worked well, some of them worked really well. Like if we talk about, let's say, something like Big Bazar. So tell us about Big Bazar. Was that a clear inspiration from something like Walmart, or you are looking at the typical traditional Indian chaotic way of shopping that happens here?
I think India had something called a Century Bazar earlier. So there was something in the mind about Century Bazar. Many departments in a, not a very large store, but a reasonably large store. Then,
but that was in a very limited way.
Yeah, but still it was there. And then there were the Indian bazaars. And I think the inspiration was there. How can you create a street bazaar into a little modern environment and create the hustle and bustle of that bazaar in a modern way? And that's how Big Bazar was conceptualized. How can we get in various categories and departments into a store and give everything to the customer.
So did it play out the way you planned it?
In fact, it surprised us. So it was quite positive in terms of response. A lot of people came together on that idea. It was not me alone. We had a lot of shopping shops at that time. We were hardly doing many categories ourselves. So it was many alliances, many partners then. But then we started learning each and every category, and that's how we built Big Bazar.
I want to focus on the key learnings that you went through, especially during that rapid expansion that you were doing. And unfortunately, I think that was the time when the financial meltdown also happened, or the Lehman crash and the things that happened after that. How did you deal with that? What was your key learning with that? Because I think that time you had to contract also as fast as you had expanded.
Luckily, we had a lot of assets. So we thought if we don't do something, we don't want to get into any financial difficulty or financial, I would say the word default. So we thought if we don't sell something or if we don't monetize some assets, maybe 12, 18 months, 24 months, there is a chance we will be vulnerable. And that's how we took a decision that we should exit some businesses. And that's how it all started. And but I think the big lesson learned was don't get attached to anything you create. So that became very easy for us to detach ourselves by selling assets. The other thing was nothing is permanent. And thirdly is we have to build financial prudence, because life and business will be highs and lows both. It will go through cycles. So you have to learn to deal with cycles. We are not dealt with a cycle earlier. So we now, as a company, we are now as a group, we will be prepared more for cycles. So I think a lot of learning. And fourth and lastly was allocation of capital. We can't be stupid to allocate capital in each and everything of an idea which comes in. So I think that was many learnings, I would say.
But is there any one business which you didn't really want to part with and you had to during that time?
I think we have no emotions about business.
So after that, after this post-learning and the entire course correction which happened, now when we look at things, how do you feel now? I mean, in hindsight, when you look at that exercise.
It will keep on happening. We still manage food, fashion, home business. We parted with our NBFC business. We sold a lot of stakes in companies. We sold one of our brand Pantaloon on which our name was built. So I don't think so we regret anything what we have done. And tomorrow also, I think nothing is permanent is the theme on which we are working, and we are not emotional or attached with anything which we are creating.
So there could be some totally unknown, unpredictable vertical also where we may see you enter tomorrow?
I don't think so we'll get besides food, fashion and home.
You will remain in this?
I think we'll remain in this three space. So we are in the consumption space, basically run this three space. If we get a chance to invest in some adjacency or some space in that consumer, we will, or we can look at it, but I don't think so we will manage any category besides this three.
I remember one small anecdote which I read somewhere, that at one point the National Retail Forum even refused to recognize you as a retailer. And couple of years down the line, they awarded you Retailer of the Year award. How was that journey?
I think these are all part of life. And I think when you don't get recognized, you work harder. So had all these things don't happen, you don't work harder. So I believe this has to come along with, it's a part of life along with the journey of whatever you are doing. So recognition, no recognition, I think we have gone above all that thing now.
Right.
Earlier it used to be felt that we are also a retailer and nobody is recognizing us. Nobody is taking us seriously. It was not about recognizing, it was not about taking seriously. So that's okay, that's a part of life.
So one is obviously the retail front. Second is the entire supply chain that you have built to feed your retail footprint, and that is something which doesn't really come in the limelight, but you were one of the first people in India who focused on building that kind of retail supply chain. So how challenging was that?
I think very challenging, because today 29 states India has the length and breadth and geography which is quite wide. It takes 7 days to 22 days to reach merchandise any place. And modernity of current distribution, most of the supply chain companies were trucking companies. And so we had to build it on our own, because now to make goods reach everywhere, and we started quite a lot of our business in the east where it was not very easy to make goods reach. So we worked hard on building up a supply chain business, and today we feel very good that we have built one of the most fastest growing business in our stable of business about supply chain, very modern, and a good team which is building up a network of food distribution, fashion distribution, other category distribution, and it's becoming more and more modern, efficient and faster. But besides that, we have built a whole ecosystem of ours. So I think we have built a platform now. We have huge customer base. We are getting into digital technology in a significant way. We are launching a lot of small stores. So life cannot be more interesting than this.
I'm sure. Since you mentioned digital, and I remember having this conversation with you almost 8 to 10 years back. That time the online bit was only starting in India. Now, and I remember your views also that, somewhere that whole sustainability was the key point, that whether this business in the current format of online is sustainable or not. Do you still hold those views, or do you think it has changed the same?
I think using technology to do business will always be there. One will have to use technology to do business. How can technology reduce cost, increase efficiencies, is a question which will come about. But consumers have accepted technology. Business is happening through technology. We are also playing a role in using technology to make our business more efficient. We'll have to keep on discovering the right model to make it happen. Current models probably are not so well, probably cost-wise, and will have to be tweaked upon to become profitable.
So you don't regret at least missing out on the current format of online?
We tried a lot in terms of e-commerce. We were the first one. When Flipkart started, we also started Future e-commerce, Future Bazar. We tried with Big Bazaar Direct. We acquired a company again we have invested in a fashion retailer, Coos. We have our online start. We are working on our O2O strategy. 1,000 crore of business of our brands will be sold online by next year in various sites. We believe in the medium, but we believe we can't run this space because it's too expensive for us to run.
So do you think this whole business model on which the current online retailers are operating, at least in India, do you think this is sustainable? Because even now the
they
game
know
is
this business
discount.
better than us, and I think they will find an answer to their challenges and cost.
But you will have your view, being the retail king. What is your view?
No,
your personal view?
My personal view is everybody has recognized what will get them to the mark. But I think currently they are still in the journey of customer acquisition. And currently they are in the journey of expanding the market. So probably they are not bothered about other things. But maybe they are seeing some pot at the end of the rainbow, which I am not able to see.
You were one of, I think, the only entrepreneur that I have met who has formally introduced the concept of spirituality in your day-to-day business, which is very rare. How did that happen? Are you very spiritual by nature?
I'm not at all spiritual, but I believe there is something which has always been, whatever is happening in the world, everything is written. There is nothing new which is happening. So we have tried to bring in, how can we look at the past and look at the symbols and the rituals of the past and find a reasoning in that and create a model which is our leadership model, which is inspired by mythology to some extent.
I have some rapid questions for you which I'm going to ask you, and I hope you will give honest answers. So, which is the most influential book that you ever read? I know you have written
Seven
also.
Habits of Highly Effective People.
Who's the most influential person you have ever met?
But the biggest inspirer for me is nature.
Nature. How?
Nature is also not constant. It keeps on change, and you can get inspired by nature. More and more closer you go to the nature, more and more energetic you feel, and more things you like to do.
Whenever it comes to making a strategic decision, apart from your instinct, whom do you trust the most? Who's your man Friday?
I talk to my daughters nowadays a lot.
Is there something that you want to change about your life? Anyway, it could be anything. It could be a professional decision, it could be a personal choice.
I think I've introspected on this question, but I don't think so.
You think it's perfect?
It's not perfect, but we live in an imperfect world. I don't want to be perfect. So I thought with all the imperfection which I have, I think it was good.
Is there any favorite sport? Are you a sports person?
Lot.
What is
I
it?
follow a lot of sports, from cricket, tennis, table tennis to most of the sports, I would say.
Who's your favorite sports personality?
I think recently it has been Dhoni.
Is there, I mean, of course you have achieved a lot, and I mean it's a long journey that you have already undertaken, but any one ambition which is yet to be fulfilled, which even now gives you sleepless nights?
I don't have an ambition per se, but I think there is something which we can create with more and more people can cherish, relish and enjoy. I would love to do that something.
If we have to sum up, you know, the way you conduct yourself or your business, what is your motto? Which is
I have created business in pieces which will come together one day.
So thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure, and I hope next time we'll have even longer conversation and there'll be many more secrets that you will reveal. But thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.